Okay, we're live.
Excellent.
Okay, I think yesterday we left off. We finished the opportunities available. Unless you had any more you wanted to discuss. Did you know of any more you wanted to go over?
I let's see. I think I had a little bit more. So I talked about like reflecting on the stressor in a new light because they mentioned that just throughout the reading where like a lot of how we feel about our challenges just kind of like depends on like how we reflect on it. And so though that feels so heartless because I mean, what are you going to say to them? Like, oh, you just need to reflect on this differently. Like, it's very different when you're dealing with real people and you just want to validate their feelings. And you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that kind of
it
changes
definitely
things.
is. And I don't think it's heartless though. It's helping them see a positive aspect because the mind is so powerful. And if they just focus on the obvious difficulties, because it's clearly an incredibly difficult trial, they'll become exhausted. They'll be overwhelmed and it can send them into a maladjustment period. And so I think that it's really important that
Yeah.
they do train themselves to see the positive, even in the difficult times. It's
That's
positive
true.
that the son still lived, even though now his arm's in a sling and he was hurt. He's
Yeah.
alive, and it seems like they have faith of um, a grander plan. Than what
Mm-hmm.
I think help them just overcome. It goes back to the CBT and the DBT methods that we discussed yesterday. That it's powerful. So I don't think it's heartless. I think you're wise in encouraging them to do that. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it does help because I think the way we reflect on anything, whether it's like a major tragedy or a small thing, like it really has a big impact because like I mean every like thing we have in our lives, like every feeling in like past hardship and stuff, it's yeah, it's from what happened, but it's from how we choose to reflect on it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I can be like exhausted and like have so many things going on, but if I just have the mentality of like, wow, God's helping me do everything, then all I feel is happiness. But if I have the mentality of like, I'm so out of balance, I can't handle this, then I feel horrible, you know? So, yeah, I mean, the way that we reflect on anything, like, it helps and then it affects us, like, physically as well, and then mentally and then emotionally. And so, yeah.
I agree. And I think that's awesome. Excuse me. And that's available to everybody in any time of trial. Neither you or I have really lived in this war torn, crazy experience like they are. But from the largest trial to the smallest, our attitude is everything. It
Yeah.
gives us the strength to move on, or it becomes crippling.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. And I
So,
think it helps. Oh, sorry.
no, you go on.
I just think it helps when, at least for me, like when I see it as a trial. Because if I'm just like, oh, bad stuff is happening, but if I'm like, oh, Heavenly Father trusts me with the trial, then all of a sudden, like, if I define it as a trial, then I know, like, oh, this means I get to have faith. This means I get to be patient. This means I get to keep serving. And it's so different for me than just looking at it as like random bad stuff. You know what I mean?
It's so true. Have you ever heard of Parenting with Love and Logic?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay. I love those books. My husband and I are big fans. We've got 5 kids. We had them all within 9 years. So busy,
Yeah.
it's always been busy for us in raising our kids. And so in reading that book, I was really just trying to gain a better grasp. And I would encourage you to read it before you
Okay.
have children. It's so amazing. Um, but in reading it, it said every time your children disobey, don't see it as something frustrating, see it as an opportunity to teach, because unless they disobey and unless they fail, unless they get hurt, unless they make mistakes, you can never teach them to overcome these things. And you'd rather them learn it young as opposed to when they're old and these mistakes can be detrimental.
Yeah.
And it's that
True.
same type of mentality. And when you face trial, don't see it as a hardship, see it as an opportunity, like you said, to grow, see it as an opportunity to learn, to stretch, to come out of the refiner's fire improved and stronger.
Yeah.
So I
True.
love that point. Good job. Um, There was one other one that I wanted to bring up. Oh, I was thinking that because of this experience, it gives them, like here on the other side of the world, it's easy for us to, oh, that's so sad, how heartbreaking. So anyways, and move on with our day.
Right.
But it has impacted, yeah, it doesn't affect us directly, so it's not a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
But for them, they've lived it every day. And so this could give them the motivation and the inside perspective to allow them to maybe go and help prevent similar situations, maybe get involved in the government or in different help groups that could offer aid. They know exactly what they need. Like if I were to donate, I wouldn't know exactly what their needs are. Do they want shampoo? Do they want food? They might want a blanket. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but they have an insider's perspective where they can really help offer assistance to other people in that circumstance, should they find the opportunity or seek out that opportunity, which is priceless, you know, as well as the emotional connection they could have with people that we discussed yesterday. It could be a physical connection to offer assistance to those in similar circumstances.
Yeah. And I think that would help a ton because, like, when we have, I mean, I believe that, like, half the reason that we have all of our trials is because Heavenly Father wants to teach us how to help the people around us. And so then for us, it goes from, like, about us to about others. And so, and then there's so many, like, studies and proofs on how, like, service, like, improves health and, like, turning outwards, and you know, like, it's just like there's like the scientific backing behind it, and then there's just like the gospel doctrine that like we should like bear one another's burdens. And so I think that's a really good point, that like if they were able to just kind of like, our situation, it's really hard, so we know that other people need help as well, and then just like build off of that, they could have a great time. I mean, as much as you can in that situation. It's hard to like, I don't want to downplay their circumstance by any means, but like I have seen that like even in the worst circumstance, like with like a service mindset, like it's almost like you're shielded from all of the emotional pain because you have like the joy of giving inside of you, and it's like stronger than anything around you.
It's true. And I think that the gospel perspective, it just offers a greater support and understanding to everything we've ever learned in this class. They've never contradicted each other. Our gospel knowledge deepens and increases our understanding because of the knowledge we're gaining through this class. And so they go hand in hand, and I love that. And it can help everybody of every faith.
Yeah, for sure. It's true.
Let's see. Okay. I've got two computers. So this one that I keep looking away from has my paper on it.
Oh, cool.
So, sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry.
I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. I'm looking at my notes.
No, you're good. Let's see.
Oh, I did put that they do have, and I guess we've kind of touched on this, but they have the opportunity to see the goodness of God and in their fellow man in the things that they are receiving. Like,
yeah,
the brother that's supporting them, the international support that they receive, just all of these other resources that are providing for their family's basic needs, that they can see the goodness of those people and find compassion and gratitude in those things, which, I mean, few people get to live off of the mercy and tender generosity of other people. You know, you and I, we have to provide for ourselves, or, you know, maybe student loans or parents, whatever, but just extended family and international support. That's pretty incredible that they're able to receive enough, as poor, I'm sure, as they are, enough to get them by. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. And I think it's crazy how, like, no matter what situation we're in, if we look for it, we can always see God's hand. And, like, not only when, like, we're being good or obedient, but when we're not being good or obedient, or when we're not feeling stalwart, or when we are, like, every time that I look for it, it's there. And I think that that could be a huge paradigm shift for them. I'm Skyping someone. But yeah, my mom's like confused. She's like, "Why are you talking to your laptop?" I'm just visiting them for I just came to spend the night, so they're not used to me like doing this stuff. So, anyways, so yeah, that could be like a huge resource, because that's another mentality thing of like either like, oh, woe is us, like we're abandoned by God, or like, oh wow, like even in this situation, like Heavenly Father is still reaching out. And then again, just improving their mentality, like improving their coping abilities, improving their physical health and their ability to reach out. So yeah, I think that would help.
I like it. Okay. That's everything I wanted to touch on with the opportunities. Did you have any more you wanted to go over before we move on?
I thought about a couple things more with like cognitive distortions. So I think avoiding like maximizing the situation, because I think that sometimes when bad things happen, it's easy to zero in on the negative stressor, forget about all the good stuff, and then feel like it's never going to end and like there's no hope. And so I think that if they could just try to keep the perspective of like, okay, we had a life before, we'll have a life after, and there are these good things going for us, and keep it in the context of their life with this challenge inside, instead of the challenge like overtaking their whole life. Oh, that was in the model that we looked at about like either building off the challenge and like finding strengths, as opposed to like having the challenge like having their lives revolve around the challenge. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the cognitive. That's right in line with the CBT that was discussed. That's awesome. That's good insight. I like how you brought that in.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks.
Are you majoring in marriage and family relations?
Yeah, I'm applying for grad school in the fall, and I plan to like be a family therapist. So
Awesome.
yeah.
That's great. Good for you. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so you ready to move on to the relationship considerations?
Yeah.
Okay. I like how they brought up in the discussion, first and foremost, the parent relationships are always a priority to consider.
Yeah.
And so I always try to focus on that one first. And the article didn't really discuss much about the mother or the wife. And I think that might be culturally, you know, they're more private with their women and everything. So that's not a huge surprise, but there clearly is a mother because they continue to have children even after all of this is going on. But I'm sure their relationship could be put under great strain. And you talked about it earlier in the risks to be aware of, the concerns that they could blame each other, that they could carry guilt themselves. You know, either it's self-blame or outward blame. Either way, it's not healthy. And so I think that relationship would be very crucial to consider first and foremost, above all, because if they are solid, the whole family and those children have an opportunity to grow up in a more established home and circumstance. So that's the first relationship that I really thought needed special consideration.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I don't know, have you read like lesson 12 yet? I just read it because I'm going to be gone. Did you read about the study they did on like the strain on the couple's relationships as compared to like where they're living?
It was really interesting because I was surprised. I expected all of them to be so deeply affected, and yet so many of them weren't.
Yeah.
That was surprising to me.
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to go through and reread it and understand maybe better why. I'm like, what am I missing? Why would that not affect all of them? You know what I mean? Did you think the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of odd. Like, they're all in horrible circumstances. And, like, even it noted that the ones who just more saw it on the news were, like, less affected, right?
Sure, yeah.
And then,
which makes sense.
Yeah. And then even that I know is stressful because when I served my mission in England, and I was there when I think Paris got bombed, and there was a subway from where I was to Paris that was like a 2-hour just like train ride. And so like I knew they were close, you know. And then I knew that like looking at like if you just look at the map and you see that you're like here and your family's all the way across the ocean and down at the like other side of the US, you're just kind of like, dang, I could totally get blown up and like they're not even close by. And like that was kind of stressful, and I was very like distant from it. You know what I mean? Whereas they're like right there. And I mean, I guess you just kind of deal with things. But I mean, with war though, that's like a constant issue. That's not just like a one, I don't know. That is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's not just one act of terrorism with war. And this war particularly, it keeps reoccurring. You know, when Ahmed, his first son, died, was 4 years prior to this current attack from Israel. That's crazy. This is like an ongoing dispute.
Yeah.
And they discussed the fact that they felt like they were purposely being attacked as civilians because they wanted to eliminate those people. That's scary.
That is scary.
That's really scary. It's not just one single act of terrorism to put my name out there or, you know, take all down with me one time. They want to eliminate you. That's scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
But I think you're right in saying that even those watching on TV, it will have an effect. It makes sense that it will have less of an effect than those who actually live there and are experiencing it. But the fact that even they have enough of an effect that it could harm their marriage, that's eye-opening. I was surprised that it had such an effect far and wide, just as much as I was surprised that those living in it could be on opposite ends of the spectrum as well, where it made them 100% stronger versus weak, which I don't know why. I think all trials have the potential of making you stronger or weak. I just think, oh, that would break me.
Yeah.
This is so extreme.
I know. It's crazy. It's like, it's all about like how we take it, you know, because like those people that were like having the most like positive repercussions were in the midst of it, and like, but they took it really well. And I also think they had their their marriage before the things happened would have a massive influence on that. But sorry, I'm kind of getting off onto like next week. But yeah.
No, it's totally true. And I think that oh, now I lost my train of thought. I hate when I do that. We were discussing, I can't even remember. If it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
I should write it down so I don't forget. So another relationship to consider, I thought about the relationship with their faith in God is definitely at risk, where they could be like, why do you allow this to keep going on? Why does our family have to keep getting attacked? Why, you know, the why cycle where they just feel completely picked on. And that would be dangerous, to lose that faith, to lose that greater perspective and that eternal understanding of why things happen. You know, I think that that could be really dangerous. In all times of trial, you need to keep your faith. So I think that's definitely a relationship that needs to be considered. And it requires a lot of special attention and effort with prayer and services, worship, however, whatever form they do it in.
Yeah. Because I think my sister and I were talking about this last night, about how like when things happen, whether like we sin or something bad happens or whatever, we always have the choice to like hide from God, like kind of like in the Garden of Eden, like, oh, you guys sinned, go hide, you know?
Yeah.
Or to like reach out to Father and just be like, hey, like, I'm sorry I did this, or this is going on, I need your help. And so I think it's the same principle here. They could just, you know, hide and just be like, oh, we can't handle this right now, this is too stressful, we don't know how to talk about it with you, or we don't want to talk to you. Or like, okay, Heavenly Father, like, we know this has to happen, like, we know that there's life circumstances and we know that we agreed to come to mortality, but like we're reaching out and we need your help, and we want you to know that like our hearts are open to you and we love you, and we understand that you love us perfectly and your son loves us perfectly. And like, I think that is another thing that, yeah, just their relationship with God, like trying to keep it open, even when sometimes they might even not know what to say or how to express how they feel. I think even just the act of kneeling, and even if no words come, just like letting Heavenly Father like feel your feelings could be enough, you know?
It's true. And it seems like, just like with sin in those times of trial, people either blame God or lean on him for that
Mm-hmm.
strength. There almost isn't a happy medium where people are just like neutral. It tends to push them either to find faith and increase faith or to reject it.
Yeah.
How could a loving parent let us go through this? Well, I mean, I'll be the first to say when my kids do something wrong, they must be punished or they'll never learn. They'll never overcome. And I'm not doing them any favors to allow them to think that the world revolves around them, you know?
Yeah.
Because I love them, I must teach them. Because I love them, there are consequences to their choices. Because I love them, that will never change. My love will never change. But their rewards versus their bad consequences will depend wholly on their choices.
Yeah.
So he loves us. He's always there. But what will we do in response to that?
Yeah. That's true.
What other relationships did you think of that needed consideration?
Let's see. I think that I don't know where their extended family is or whether they have extended family nearby, but I think that like that could be a really big resource because I know that like when our families had like tragedy or whatever, like we've always been able to like lend support. Like my uncle's had a brain tumor for the past few years, and it's not they've had so many surgeries to remove it, but it just keeps coming back. And so there's a time like a couple years ago they came and lived with us just for free, and they have like 5 kids, and they just lived with us and it was totally fine, you know, because like we just love him and we wanted to help him, and he couldn't work because he would just black out and like not be able to keep his job and stuff. And so that was like a really special time for us. And like they live in Arizona too. We're pretty much all from Arizona, but they like loved being up here in Idaho in the summer with just like the nature and all the like green grass. And we live like right by the Snake River and stuff, so it's just like very like peaceful. And that was so good for Chris, my uncle. Like he always says like he's just like, I just miss your house. I want to go back to Audrey's house. That's my mom's name, his wife's sister. And so like I just think like if they do have family, and whether that family is, you know, far away in another country, that they could maybe go to them, or maybe they can't go, but like keep in touch with them, or that they're in the same situation with them. I think just kind of pulling together with like your family, because like I think we forget how much other people want to help us,
Mm-hmm.
and often have a mentality to be like, oh, they probably wouldn't care, or I just need to do this myself. But I have found that the times when I do reach out to my family and I'm like, hey, like I kind of need help right now, they're so responsive. Like they just want to help me. And I feel the same way about them, you know, like if they ever came to me and needed my like love and help, like of course, like what else do I exist for? You know what I mean? And so I think just like utilizing that resource and like keeping those ties strong, even though it might be hard, because like the relationships are really important and can just help them like get through everything.
That's so true. And I wonder why they don't get out. You know, we discussed this a little bit yesterday, but are they not allowed to? Do they just have nowhere else to go? Is there family to go to elsewhere? Are they
Yeah.
all there contained? I don't know. That would be interesting to. It was such a short article. I would love to learn more of the background and the extended circumstances and resources that they really have available. I feel like it was just too limited.
Yeah, very limited. Very limited.
That would
So
be really interesting.
yeah, I agree. We've hit our like 45. Was it 45 minutes or is it an hour?
I thought it was an hour, but it might
Is
be
it an
45.
hour?
I'm not sure. I thought it was an hour.
I think this is what it was. I think it's like 45 minutes, and then like the last 15 minutes they're kind of saying you can like wrap up or like summarize. or whatever.
Yes.
But I mean, whatever we want to do is probably fine. So, I think, okay, I like wrote down my started. So let's see. So I think like, so probably, okay, so in 12 minutes, we'll have hit an hour.
Okay.
So just so you know, like where we're at time wise. So
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to mention real quick, I thought the consideration you and I totally discussed yesterday, the consideration about the younger son, Ahmed, that was named after his older brother. That's obviously a concern that they need to be aware of to let him be his own self. But the relationship with both parents and the children, as well as all the siblings together, I've listed as a couple of different relationship considerations, because all of them, even though they're going through the same experience, they're experiencing it individually. One might have a positive aspect, one might have a negative, one might have increased faith, as opposed to somebody who hasn't developed that, especially the younger children, just strictly rely on the parents. So I think there are countless, there are so many relationship considerations in this whole scenario. So I think that there were a lot. Again, we've got 3 more categories, and since we have a limited time, we should probably just go over them quickly. And then if when we're complete, do you want to email me? You have my email, right?
Yeah. Before you called me, I just made a Google Doc. I can do either. I was thinking if I shared the Google Doc to you, it would be easier for you to edit. Like you can just backspace whatever I send you and do whatever you want to do. Or I can just send you the document through the email. Whatever is easier for you is fine.
I'm not as familiar with Google Docs. I've done things in them like for community work, but I don't like the format of it quite as well. Email would be easier if that's okay. Is that?
Yeah, it's no problem. It's the same to me. So yeah.
Okay, because then I can just copy it and paste it, insert everything in this format that I made in Word.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's because I'm old.
I just learned how to use it like a couple months ago, so you're good.
I've used it in a few of my classes, but I'm just not as familiar. I can't do as much with it as I can with Word.
Yeah.
You know, so I like that freedom. But yeah, if you want to send it and then I can edit everything, and if you want to review it before I submit it, I'm totally good with that. As of right now, there's not a place in week 12 to submit this assignment. Did you notice that?
Oh, I didn't notice. Oh, I did notice, but I just thought that was because only one person submitted it.
Yeah, there was no link to submit. It says go to the next page to submit, but if you go to the next page, it is the self-evaluation. And so I messaged, or I put a question on the discussion board for the week, just saying, I don't see a place where we can submit this assignment. So we've still got, and even though I'm out of town, I'm going to have my computer and I have internet access. I'll be fine to do homework the whole time. So I'll submit that. Do you want me to send it to you for your approval before I submit it, or do you not want that?
You can just do it. I won't be taking my laptop because I'm only taking a check bag on the plane. So I don't have like any space. So it's probably more reliable and I trust you. So hi. Love you.
Very much.
See you on Monday.
Thank you for the good time.
Yeah. Sorry, my dad wanted to hug.
Oh, I like it.
He's going, so.
Yeah, that's not a problem. But yeah, so I'll finalize everything and I'll submit it. And you can go in after you get back in town and you can see the submission and everything like that. But I'll put these Google chat links in with it and everything. So I'll make sure that gets done.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. I'm glad that this worked out. I felt so bad. Like I said, I was just going to meet next week because it's not a problem. When I saw your post, I'm like, how sad. You don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So recommended coping strategies. We've already talked a lot about the importance of religion and a positive attitude and open communication, talking with one another. Really, we've gone over most of it. One other thing, and we mentioned the family councils and serving others. Let me see. Oh, I did say that I would recommend, if available, to seek out professional help. Just a third party who's not involved. You know, if there's, I don't know if it's even available where they are, but counselors, therapists, I don't know what resources they would have, if any, even if it could be online or if they would have access to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if available, that could be a huge resource for the family. And then I also talked about the importance of keeping normalcy and traditions within the home would be a valuable resource for the family, you know, whether it be birthdays or a daily ritual of prayer or whatever it is, just have those regular traditions, things that keep a routine for the children especially, but for the entire family. It'll offer a sense of normalcy in their very chaotic, crazy circumstances.
Yeah, I think you're right. I kind of put something similar. I don't know if you've read like anything from John Gottman, but he has, yeah, he's the best.
I love
it. He has this book of 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work.
Yeah, I've read that one.
Yeah, and where he talks about rituals that just like keep things going well even amidst the chaos. So I just think that's a really great principle to apply even with the family. And like there's just something about like taking time to have fun, just to get your mind off all the everyday stressors and all the grind. And like even like yesterday, like my family, I've been trying to do 2 weeks worth of homework the past 3 days. So I've been like getting up at 5:30 every morning and then like studying for 15 hours. It's just been like pretty crazy. And then like on top of that, like trying to find housing, worrying about financial aid, worrying about like applying for grad school, like trying to like keep my long distance relationship alive, just like lots of things. And like it was so nice to just have like my family come get me. And then we just all like went to the store and got some stuff for the airplane. And like me and my sister were just like laughing and joking like we always do. And then we were all like, yeah, exactly. And we were just like singing in the car. We were like trying to harmonize, which is like the most hilarious thing ever because we don't really know how to harmonize. And like it's just so good to like take time to do stuff like that because like I mean, when you're alone all the time, like my sister lives in Vegas. I haven't seen her in like 6 months. And like, you're just like doing the daily grind. This is like, I'm doing like 2 years of school, like straight, like with no breaks. So I'm on like this is like my 9th month of school in a row. And like, it's just very easy to like get like depressed and get like so like caught up in like all just like the burdens. But then like to just take a step back and like be with your family or like do a ritual because you know they've been in this like war-torn situation for like so long, like that it just doesn't let up, you know. And so just to be able to like, yes, things are hard, yes, there's pressures upon us and they're real, but like it's okay, we can take a minute to laugh and like we don't always have to be acting stressed even though it does feel stressful.
It's true. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just kind of moving it along quickly since, you know, I know we've met our time, but I want to make sure we discuss it at least a little bit.
You're good.
Each section. So the recommendation to supporting and involved parties, I suggested continue the financial support, open communication, encouraging one another to offer help and love and understanding, especially for those who are in similar circumstances. And I thought it would be neat if they could do, and I know this might be totally crazy, but like when our kids were really young, we did babysitting co-ops. So, okay, we can't afford any dates right now. Money's tight, especially when the economy was hard. So we would watch each other's kids for free on Friday night. There were 5 of us involved. So you would only watch every 5th Friday night.
Oh, nice.
But every Friday you got child-free time. You know what I mean? Even if we couldn't afford a date, we would go to the park together, or we would watch a movie at home together, or play a game together, whatever it was. But that time without the children was so beneficial. So if they do have people, whether it be family or people within the apartment complex, that they could do some type of trade with, I thought that would be really beneficial for the whole family.
That's a great idea. I like that.
Weird, I guess, considering they're in war, but it's still important to get that time and to forget the trials and just have fun together.
For sure. Okay,
so did you have any other recommendations for the supporting or involved parties?
I just said like help their I said make them aware of families' current stressors. Oh, that makes sense. Like make the supporting parties aware of like what they're going through, and then as well like make them aware of like techniques to help the family. Coming from like a therapist perspective, like if you were a therapist and you were in this situation, like, oh, here's some things you can do to like help your family. Here's kind of what they're going through. And then just kind of let them know like how the family's been like coping with their grief, and just kind of giving them a like, here's where they're at and like here's what they need kind of thing.
I like that. I wonder if they have much opportunity for education. I know that the first grader was excited to be able to go back to school, and it discussed that, but I wonder how far their education goes. Like, are these parents trained in anything or educated? I wonder if there are any resources such as the counselors available just for free trade, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
A resource. But that's wise. Just somebody to talk to and to understand it too. You're not crazy. This is hard. It's okay. And give direction, you know, of how to move forward.
Yeah.
Additional resources. I thought it would be a good idea maybe to do a family garden or a community garden that would help provide food for a very inexpensive rate, but give them a purpose and something to do as a family and as a community. It could be really beneficial on many levels.
That's a great idea.
Or any other project. The garden was my suggestion, but that there could be any others. And then again, just offering their support to others that are in similar circumstances, and helping the family to set those regular traditions despite their circumstances. So again, those are things we've already discussed, but those were my additional resources that I thought could provide help for the family.
I like that. The garden is a really cool idea.
Who doesn't want a garden, right?
Right. That's really
cool. Did
you
have anything else you wanted to add to that section?
I said, get them out of that horrible place.
It's true.
Move somewhere new where they don't have the constant reminders of like what's happened to their son. I also said, maybe I disagree with this now because of what we talked about, but I said call their son by a different name. I don't know that you can really do that now that he's already been used to being called that.
But maybe if he has a middle name and they can call him that. It's hard. Like I said, you know, you and I both felt yesterday there could be positive and negative aspects to that. It depends on how they take it and how he takes it, how it's perceived by all parties involved. So
it's true.
I don't know. It's hard to make that determination. What's right for one could be wrong for another, and it could go either way. But it's a concern to be aware of. For sure.
And then this one's kind of rash. But I said get rid of the picture because, I mean, like, I kind of see how it could help, but at the same time, that's kind of painful. Like, they just have, like, this giant picture of their son who never got to graduate. Like, I'm just imagining it over their fireplace. They probably don't even have a fireplace, nor do they need it. But, like, I don't know, but, like, sometimes when I, like, look at my mission pictures, like, I just want to cry because it was, like, so hard, you know? Like, I don't know if that's, like, the best thing for them to have. Like, maybe
I think if they had, like, a modern-day picture of the age he was when he passed, or of him as a toddler, whatever, to remember a good memory. But the fact that they have an age progressed picture of a time that he'll never have, it is a constant reminder of what you're missing out on. I'm with you. I think it's a very concerning picture that they have. Keep his memory alive. Remember the good times, but don't constantly look in the face of what you never get. That's seemingly unhealthy.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was, and then
I think that's a good insight. I thought about it when I read it, how weird it was, but I didn't even have the afterthought to include it in anything, so that was good. I think it was very unhealthy as well, so
that would be helpful.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all I put for that. So.
Perfect. Well, I like it. I think that you did a great job, and I enjoyed discussing it with you. I feel like there's been good discussion and perspectives, and, you know, it helps kind of broaden my initial thoughts as I just read it. So thank you.
Too. Thank you.
All right. Well, you have a fabulous trip. Where are you going?
I'm going to California.
Oh,
I get to see my boyfriend. I haven't seen him in like a little over a month, and his family. I'm gonna go stay with them.
So fun. So does he go to BYU, Idaho as well?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, but he's just at home right now.
Yeah, he was off track all this semester and then all summer, and then he'll come back in the fall. So
Okay, and how long have you two been dating?
Since February.
Ooh, this could be serious.
I know.
That's exciting. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's awesome. I hope it keeps progressing for you.
Me too.
So, okay, well, have fun. Enjoy your time with him and his family.
Thank you.
I will get this submitted, and I'll also sign up for Group 1 because I haven't done that yet. So I'll do that right now.
Okay, and I'll email you my paper.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast.